Have you ever wondered where the problems in the world today would exist if we had deeper connection to ourselves, others, and the environment and acted from that place? Welcome to the Conscious Action Podcast with your host, Brian Berneman, who believe that connection is the key to taking conscious action as individuals and creating a better world. We are here to raise awareness and inspire meaningful action by sharing stories, knowledge, and conversations with thought leaders and change makers. From sustainability to well-being and everything related to conscious living, our mission is to empower you to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Conscious Action Podcast. I am Brian Berneman, your host, and I have the pleasure to be joined all the way from Arizona in the United States by Viviane Chauvet. Thank you so much, Vivian, for being here and for taking the time for this wonderful conversation. For everyone that is watching and listening to us, what can you share about you and your journey so far in this lifetime?
Absolutely. Well, Brian, thank you for having me. It is wonderful to be with all of you and sending much love to everyone in New Zealand and beyond. So truly a joy. As you introduced me, my name is Viviane Chauvet. I am known internationally as an Advanced Arcturian Hybrid. And so for what it means is that I am an Arcturian being having an Earth human experience, which is bringing a very beautiful intergalactic field of wisdom and much love perspective in everything that we do. And I've been on my journey pretty much since I returned to the planet. Even as a child, I understood the profound nature of who I am as a being visiting this Earth in this human form, this vehicle, and this identity. And it's been a very beautiful and really fulfill a journey so far. And I would say, Brian, that my journey has deepened ever since I moved to Arizona. I originally came through Canada and grew up in Canada. And when I moved to the desert of Arizona, I discovered the sacred ley lines and the sacred site, as well as the grids of Arizona, connecting to ancient Egypt and other form of memories and ancient civilizations. So it really triggered even more a deeper level of evolution in me. I went through a huge awakening process. And what that meant for me was the coming into my Arcturian self so that I can be more active and activated with my gifts, my abilities to be of service. And this is how I really, from a public perspective, started my journey, first locally here in Arizona by offering classes, meditations, workshop, activations for the community that is really much growing here spiritually. And then eventually I found my way online and expanded over the last more than 10 years already. And then, of course, leading up to partnership with the Stargate Network people and doing thousands of healing sessions. Healing, it's a huge umbrella, Brian, that I discovered that what it really means is restoration. It's the restoration, the remembrance of who we are. And from there, the doors open in ways that sometimes the mind is unable to perceive at the time. And it's been a growing process of being of service and working from people from one hemisphere to the next on the planet, and to see that it's a small community, even though you're physically miles and miles and miles away from me. We're opposite pole and even opposite season. In reality, we're in the same field and we are still connected together. And here we are today. It feels like you're next door and I'm your neighbor next door at the same time. Isn't that amazing?
It's so good, and thank you so much for sharing. I think I as you're mentioning with the Stargate, I was introduced to you and your being through the Stargate. I've been meditating with the Stargate experience and with Alcazar for many years now. And I remember the first time, it's been, I think that now a couple of months ago, that you went into live stream, and I was like, oh wow, this is, I resonated so much, and it was so such a wonderful experience. And I was like, I need to reach out and I need to connect. And as you're saying, I think that the power of these times now, of that interconnectedness and that communication, it's so much easier. And I know that there's even easier ways of communicating beyond using technology like this that we have the capability of, which is coming, and I assume that quite soon that will come for most of us. But I wanted to explore a little bit, you mentioned being an Arcturian being here. For those that perhaps are not that familiar with what does that mean, can you expand a little bit on that?
Oh, absolutely, Brian. And I know that what I'm about to say is going to speak to many starseeds who are listening and will be listening and discovering this very uplifted conversation. So what does it mean is that originally, from this lifetime perspective, my soul essence have originally come from the realm of Arcturus. I represent an aspect of the Arcturian intergalactic civilizations. In Arcturians, we are known as one of the most enlightened and ancient intergalactic civilization interacting with the earth for eons. So we're great healers, we're masters, teachers. We're simply, I say simply to make it accessible and reachable, that think of us as model, example of future self as to where the human race is really evolving back to. And I say evolving back because it's a remembrance. So we're supporting the ascension process, as you call it, which is a really huge evolutionary process of deeply remembering our divinity and understanding the complexity and the point of how much we are eternal cosmic beings. So Arcturians were like your stars of brothers and sisters. We simply represent a different consciousness. We have a different forms than the Earth humans. And we too have gone through a really huge, multiple layered of evolution through our own history. So we understand what it feels like. And sometimes we have different perspective because we're not bound by the third density or the linear time that you perceive yourself as. We have transcended that a long, long time ago. So Arcturians are beautiful beings who have reached a level of self-mastery, whether it's time, telepathic communication, healing, whether it's projection of thought forms, ability of the mastery of the mind, and many, many more other forms. So we're here as coach, teachers, old friends, kindred spirit, and the frequency, the Arcturian frequencies are returning predominantly on the planet because the overall collective consciousness of human beings and the planet have reached a more elevated state where you can start to interact with us at a much more profound level. And I know there's so many people on the planet who is working with them to a certain degree, whether it's through guidance, channels, maybe soul memory impression to their own soul ancestry. And there's a few of us as starseeds. Well, we're rare birds. We're not that many of us on the ground in physical form because it's very complex for us to be in a condensed physical form when you are a very advanced being and you vibrate at such a high level. But there's a few of us, I would say starseed-wise, there may be up to 5% of Arcturians versus how many Sirians and Pleiadians and others are on the planet. We're mainly communicating with teachers and those who have chosen the path of enlightenment, that there might be more than Arcturian on the planet. So when you talk to a genuine Arcturian, it's a gift because there are not that many of us. But for those of us who are here, we're very happy to support another level of physical support that makes a huge difference. Allow us right now to have this conversation, the energy behind the words, the vibration behind the conversation. All of this are gifts that we can convey more, that if I were back in my original Arcturian form, we could still do the same thing, but it might not be received in the same capacity. because of the frequencies levels. So on one hand, we rejoice to see that there's more and more of an elevation, and we would say, keep going, stay in your light. Even though there's a lot of association and feel like there's a lot of gap to fill, and that's because you're experiencing contrast, energetic contrast, the colliding of opposition, polarity. And that's because we need to go through that in order to shift dimensionally, in order to shift the frequencies. So keep going, stay in your light, take a deep breath, stay in your light.
It's so beautiful. I want to explore some of this that you're mentioning, but before we go into that, I would love if you can share a little bit what has been your experience being born, as you're saying, in this density in a human body as an Arcturian being, as you're saying, you're, as far as I understand, for a lot of beings that are coming with a very different frequency and vibration in this earth, the body it's a huge adjustment. So how was that for you? Did you know from the moment that you were born into this lifetime who you were? What can you share about what's it been like for you, this contrast as well of being in a human body?
Absolutely, great question. So I just want to bring some semantics, background semantics. Starseeds are known as a soul aspect, or what we call a soul emanation of souls who come from different systems, different realities, interdimensional galaxies, universes, and they come as a starseed, a spark, and they embody a physical human form, and the mother will carry them, and they be born that way. Sometimes the mother will receive some help, and the family of origin or the star group will help with the DNA in order to better encode the body and help the soul. So there's different level of starseed in that sense. In my capacity, when I said that I am an Arcturian being in a projected human form, it means that my physical vessel was engineered by the Arcturians. So I was not conceived in a traditional way as human being remembers it or know how baby come about. So I was not conceived the same way, so to speak. It's more of an advanced technology, which is very organic, conscious, and there was a blend to perfect the body in order for me to embody, for my soul consciousness to come and embody this vessel. And so I was not born in the same traditional way as well. I came about on the ship with my Arcturian father, and my human mother was there with my dad, my human dad, that is part of the project. And so we were there, and to make sure that I have to be born or came about within our technology to ensure that my body will be viable. One of the challenge when you have a hybrid child is that we have to make sure that the immune system is compatible, the digestive system functions, and the lung capacity, which is also a really big issue, lungs, breathing, cardiovascular, all of it. So in that way, if I was be born the traditional way, most likely my lungs will have collapsed and the body will have not survived. And oops, the project failed. I'm no longer to be here physically the way I want to be. So we have to take other measurement, because in my case, my body was specifically designed to hold the higher pure frequencies of those intergalactic masters, so I can be a conduit, a constant transmitter of those frequencies. And as just be here physically on the planet, I transmit those lights constantly. Yes, I know, they're very active with me right now, and they're showing me. And so the earth absorbs the grids. She loves it. Bring it to the ley lines and beyond the earth, even beyond the solar system. And so allowing my body to still function in the 3D, breathing, digestive system, immunity, muscular, and all of it. So you can imagine just a taste of what it feels like to have such a highly sensitive, specifically engineered body. And the challenge has been grand. I remember growing up having extremely a lot of pain. My muscular system was not responding very well. I was not very coordinated. It was very clumsy for me just to walk and to coordinate in space and time here. Holding objects felt foreign to me. There's some things that I didn't have. The body did not have certain memories that human beings take for granted. A child knows how to throw a ball and catch a ball. Well, I did not know that. I had no memory of this. So I have to teach myself what it feels like to catch a ball. And it was a scary feeling for me. I'm like, what is that thing coming at me, right? Things like that we take for granted growing up, that was not natural to me, that I have to learn, that children overall will know instinctively because they have memories of what it is like. Not in my case. And so even to this day, I have to be very careful with my body, very mindful. My muscles are still adjusting. My lungs, it's just been always a huge work in progress. I call it this way, work in progress. Even though my form has gained so much more strength now than it has when I was younger, I really feel that I've been on an endless marathon ever since I came back to the planet. I feel like I'm working out 24/7 a day, 24/7, because I can feel the earth pulling the energy, trees and the grids and core of the planet. I can feel it moving to my own form. So let's just say I require lots of help to maintain myself here, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. It's such an interesting thing because, as you're saying, there's so much that we take for granted throughout lifetimes, most of us, of being reborn in the earth, and to have this wisdom already that is like, oh yeah, this is how things feel. This is how, like gravity, and we're experiencing that, and how the pull of that gravity feels. And then it's just like, okay, that's just second nature for most of us. Whereas if it's the first lifetime here, it's like, whoa, what's all of this?
Precisely. So thank you for understanding. It really is. And this is why I talk about body memory. I remember as a child in elementary school, just holding a pair of scissors. I did not have the correlation between the movement of the wrists and the scissor itself. I didn't know what to do with it. And so they had to teach me, okay, this is how you do it. And then I got the body memory of it. And now today, when I grab a pair of scissors, I have the reference, the muscular body memory behind it, and I know what to do. But they have to teach me. Wow. What am I doing with those? Well, how do you do it? And so it's fascinating for me that it's the reversal of an Arcturian being learning from an Earth human experience. So for me, it's very much reverse. Everything has been this way. And there's a great purpose behind it. It's allowing me to understand who I am. And then there's new gift, new activation coming through, so I can better support the ascension process, the awakening process, helping people like I've done over 10 years, publicly, very active meditations, teachings. We have an online community now. As I mentioned, literally thousands of healing sessions over the last 10 years, very active. And it's wonderful to see those who have really been blossoming into it, and those who says, this is too much, this doesn't resonate with me, it's simply just you're not ready for now. You're simply not ready just yet, but you will be. And it's okay. We're planting seeds that will blossom in time. And it's very much an ongoing process for everyone.
Yes, definitely. And it's such a special time, as you're saying now. And, I don't like assuming things, but I wanted to ask you, is this moment in time now why you're here? What's going on with the awakening process and the shift that it's taking place within the earth? The reason why you were born here, when you were born, and the fact that for the last 10 years, as you're saying, you've been doing this work?
Absolutely, because if you take a group like the Arcturians, very advanced, just like the Andromedans are really advanced. So we have the ability to perceive a multitude of timelines. and to see what is the most probable potential unfolding, depending on certain factors like the collective consciousness trigger points. Sometimes the dark energy will trigger the light energy, and then it's a point of unification because there's a lot going on. So we are foreseen for a long time that if I return on the planet in a physical form at a certain time, then by the time I reach maturity and I realign myself with my higher part of who I am as an Arcturian being in this human form, then it will be right in parallel with the greater potential of ascension and how we can really accelerate that process by helping all the lights, the starseeds and the practitioners, and whether you're an earth human originators or you are a galactic fairy or you are a consciousness from another sphere, helping everyone to bring forth the potential and your own unique blueprint. So it's like lighting up a tree with so many lights that the light casts and they start to cascading into something bigger. And so we knew that 2023, as you call it on your calendar, shifting into 2024 and beyond, and even before that, leading up to 2023 and beyond, will be a huge conjunction of complete acceleration. So what does it mean in practicality? It means that your thoughts, your actions, your words, your feelings, your intention, everything counts, and nothing is in vain anymore. Nothing is mundane anymore. Everything counts. Just the sacred art of how you wake up in the morning, how you maintain your frequencies throughout the day, even if you wash the dishes, brush your teeth, take the kids to school, take care of your pets. Whatever we call mundane is no longer mundane because you are intertwining light frequency, you're maintaining different level of realities. And we have these faculties right here, right now. There's no training required. It's part of who you are because you are a divine being of light. You too having an earth human experience. And so because of this, you have this authority, if I have to say, in you, in the recognition of what you're capable of. That's what is accelerating the trigger point of consciousness and the reversal of the old thought system, mental program, whether it's ancestral, historical, cultural, overall to the 3D matrix. We are starting to unwind ourselves, disengaging from those patterns and realizing more and more there's more to me, and I have a desire, a spark within me that says, I'm here for a great purpose. Yes, you are. And I wish to assist and to help. How do I do that? Well, to tell the universe you're ready. Make sure that mind, body, spirit, and heart, all it's in alignment. It says, I am ready to embrace my next step of my services. Now reveal to me, show me clearly. And this is what you start to initiate the energy into action, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. And I think that this is one of the things that I keep on telling a lot of people at this time. And as you're mentioning, doing thousands of healings, the importance of understanding that yes, there's been imbalances, and now it's a time that actually the energy is so primed for doing this energetic work to come back to that alignment, as you're saying, all of these different aspects of what makes us as a being, and to be able to bring that in, to be able to come back to alignment, to be able to then connect to that new frequency or new version of ourselves, that it is possible, and how can we be part of this collective change that is happening, and to be able to be one of the lights in that change.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really well said, Brian, actually. Think of it this way. We know that, for example, water, we have the power to change the molecular structure and the memories of water. And there's been so many research done on this. And there's been instances of group of monks gathering on the shore of a lake, for example, of a river, and to the chanting, They can change the structure and shift the energy even through the ecosystem. But here's the good news. There's no need to be a monk, even though I honor them and respect them, of course. But there's no need to be in that practice in the same pathway. You can still gather a group, even just hundreds of people, around the shore of a lake. What is important is that we unite our hearts towards a common goal, which is to the power of our presence. It can be just or it can be the intention that we send our light to the heart, into the water. So as we think about love, purity, innocence, restoration, and combine together, we can clear water, we can shift the molecular structures. If we can do that in a lake, imagine the energy of your own body made of pure water, and all the quantum energies, the language to your cells, the organs, and the nervous systems, your gateways of light. So how you think, speak about yourself has a tremendous impact on your health, belief systems, and allow yourself to free yourself from this and to realize that you can still function in these 3D, so-called 3D world. I function, I still go to the grocery with my kids, I still pay the bills, believe me, otherwise my cell phone company would go, hey, I don't care your hybrid, give me my, pay your bill. And so I understand that I am maintaining the structure in the 3D, which called functioning in this world, while being in parallel to it and still understanding that you have a tremendous impact on it. And that's true power right there.
Definitely. I often share with everyone, and of course this comes from perhaps some, as you're saying, different perspectives or different ways about understanding that power that we all have and taking that responsibility to not be victims of the circumstances, not be victims of what has happened or what is still happening, and taking that responsibility and having the courage to do that inner work or inner change, inner transformation, to be able to actually stand and to be like, yes, I am powerful. I have all that I need. I am what I'm seeking. And all that I need is that remembering and to connect, as I love, and this is why I've been doing this target practices for such a long time, of reconnecting to the original blueprint of each of my cells in the body to come back to that place of alignment. So when we understand that, how much power we have, then we're able to play, as you're saying, this game of like, okay, I'm here, I'm playing this game, I'm using internet, as you're saying, I'm using my phone, I'm paying the bills, I have all of this, I can still do that. I'm doing that with a different sense of awareness than I used to in the past. So that for me is the key, that my consciousness level is in a very different wave of the spiral, so that I'm able to still, as you're saying, function and do the work for that ascension process.
Oh, absolutely. What you just described, Ryan, is really what we call the shifting of the consciousness, shifting into a higher form of awareness. And that awareness allows you to bring you from one-dimensional experience, 3D, mundane, seems deprived of purposes, to a higher dimensional experience to say, wait a minute, my presence in this crowd on the road or in this store or that market, I know that just my presence and being consciously attuning myself makes a difference. And you may helping others to shift energies. So when they come back home, it generates different level of ripple effects. And I can tell you, the more everyone start to come back in that centeredness and disengage the autopilot, like things have been functioning that way, just the way it is, and I'm just functioning. There's no need to fear. Disengage the autopilot. Feel, almost like a pilot. You feel your vehicle. Feel that you're in sync with the navigational system within yourself, and allow yourself to navigate and explore those higher realms, even though seemingly you are functioning in the mundane. No more anymore, because everything is an invitation to awaken. You can be going to the movie theater with a friend, a partner, your family, and just the interaction you have with the people in that theater. For example, there are people like you, the divine being like you, some recognizing and others still on the autopilot, when then plant seeds of light, smile. When they say hello, take the time to say hello back. You just create a connection. And that's what I do, is everywhere I go, I apply myself to be consciously present. And yes, sometimes we get distracted. That is okay. But when you catch yourself I've been stretched thin between different energies in that swirl of, being in an airport, it's really fast paced. And then bring yourself back to your core. You'll be able to catch yourself faster and recover back to your centeredness more. And you start to perceive things more around your surroundings. And I see like traveling, for example, in airport, I know that a lot. You're traveling yourself, Brian. It's incredible what you can see. I mean, one time I was waiting on my flight, but I decided that instead of being on my phone and being distracted by electronics or listening to music and I'm disconnecting from everything else, I decided just to be present. And there was this wonderful elderly gentleman, early 80s, traveling by himself. He was a bit disoriented. He was being shipped back and forth like a ping pong ball from one place to the other. So I sat next to him and I turned to him and I smiled. And I said, "You going home?" And that's all I need to do. And he looked at me for like, "You know what? You seem friendly. I need help." And he just opened up to me. The next thing I know, Brian, I'm on the phone with his daughter, talking, coordinating. "Okay, I'm with your father. This is his ID. I'm here to help. I'm using my phone right now, so it's okay. It's a foreign number. Here's your father." She wanted to talk to him. Now everything is fine. And next thing I knew, in the plane, I was sitting right next behind him without knowing it. Wow. So when I entered the plane after him, he went like, "Oh, Vivian, that's my point of reference. You're familiar." And I said, "It's okay. I'm sitting right next behind you." So I was able to coordinate even during the flight to the next connection flight with the personnel on board, and says, "For this gentleman, this is his name." I spoke with his daughter, making sure that he catches next flight because the family's waiting for him. That makes a whole difference. It changed everything.
Yes, and that's so powerful. I mean, that interconnectedness and those that we will call synchronicities as well, and it's about, as you're saying, about being able to be present, and as you say, it might not be 24/7 that we are fully present with that as we have other things, yet in those moments, and we can notice it, and it's so wonderful when that happens. As you're saying, I a lot of times I feel like it's such a strange thing when I'm walking past the street and I smile to people, and I see some people, sometimes they smile back at me, and sometimes people are like kind of like they look at me a little bit weird. I'm like, oh well, that's their response to that.
That's an autopilot response.
Yeah.
Because we have learned that don't look at stranger. This is weird. Yeah. And that's an illusion. I want to like, look at me. I want to say hello. It's the opposite. So we're learning to, again, reversal of thought system. That's a big, big reversal. And we're starting to feel that the planet is interconnected with each other. Last year, I was in South Africa, and we did a really wonderful healing work, and we did a fun workshop there. And one thing I felt, and I'm like, I look around the landscape, mountains, trees, nature, and I said, "You look familiar." And you know what the answer I received? Mother Gaia, the consciousness of the earth, came, and she whispered to me, she said, "Well, what do you think? I am Mother Gaia everywhere you go. Of course you will recognize me."
So
and
beautiful.
It felt familiar, like as if I was back in Canada, but I was in South Africa. And yet that sense of familiarity was there, even though I never set foot there in this lifetime. Gaia said, "I am Gaia everywhere you go."
Wow. So powerful.
That's powerful. And so I said, Gaia, thank you for reminding me that it's all the oneness just expressed in different form and different shape and just some unique flavors and unique expression. That's what she said. I am Gaia everywhere you go. And I said, wow, that was a great gift.
Beautiful. So beautiful. I'm wondering if you would be able to share a little bit two things. One around healing. What can you share about healing, especially the healings that you share with regards to what's our potential of what is coming?
Absolutely. So I want to make sure I understand the twofold questions. The first one, did I hear correctly that you said what is potentially hidden?
No, healing. Like what is
Of
the
course,
healing?
what is
Yes.
healing in all of us? Yes, and unlocking the potential. Absolutely. So let's explore 2023. One of the things that is healing a lot is what it's called a reconciliation of paradoxes, whether it's in ourselves, fear versus desire to serve, to be of service. I mean, that's a paradox that we need to reconcile. Want to be doing more, but the fear of visibility and rejection. So we're being giving all opportunities individually and as a collective, as a community, to heal opposition. Contrasts are designed to teach us, and they become catalysts of greater evolution. So 2023, it's really about, in the first instant of the year, healing contrasts, reconciliation, and then acceleration that allow us to reach other level of potential, start to feel that time has accelerated. We're moving out of 3D linear time and realigning ourselves with universal time. So the same 24 hours no longer feel the same. And we feel that. That tells you that we're shifting our perspective of time. Give yourself the permission, allow yourself to shift, even though it's uncomfortable. Many people will feel physical symptoms. Your body shifting with you. There may be something, even in your cage, in your bone, that needs to be cleared. It can be ancestral. It can be deep imprint from your upbringing or the environment you grew up in. It can be also past life related without having to dissect to the mind what it is about. It just says, I'm releasing and allowing myself for the next level of my evolution. And I only remember what served my highest and greatest good. Because not all memories are necessary anymore. We're shifting beyond that. So 2023, reconciliation of contrasts, paradoxes, integration. We're starting to understand that the greatest darkness lead to the greatest light. And that's reconciliation as well on the planet. Shifting of perspective, like you so beautifully said, Brian. And many of seeds of activation that are designed for 2023, others are designed for 2024 and beyond. Because everything that we're co-creating this year has already a ripple effect in 2023, which is why we feel that those 2 years are very complementary, like binary stars that shift, that follow each other and affect each other. So this is very much where we are. And allow yourself a reprieve in terms of how much you put in your mind. Give yourself a time to step away, to digest, to integrate, ask yourself different questions. Because there's a lot of semantics, words of shifting. The word healing is shifting in meaning. The word ascension is shifting in meaning. And even though we would perceive ourselves into the intergalactic communities, there's a lot of battle of the wits. Who has the better words and labels? So let's shift from this. Let them teach you, let them show you, let you remember instead. Far more powerful in our humble opinion. So be patient with yourself, knowing that everyone is shifting at their own pace. And even though we feel like some people seem to regress, well, the beings of light have said that it is still a form of evolution, but maybe not the same form of evolution we perceive, but let them evolve in their own ways. And that's important. So release yourself from sometimes a false sense of responsibility that we have to do for our loved ones, people around us, spouse, friends, best friends, children, parents. Just see them in their own evolutionary process and support them with love from where they are.
Beautiful. So beautiful. And if you had to share a message or someone with everyone that is listening and watching us, what is that message?
Absolutely. So in addition to what we just shared a moment ago, I will add, take a deep breath. Take the time just to be. The doing, learning more, it's going to overfill your cup and create more confusion and sometimes despairs because it's too much, it's overwhelming. So take the time to feel like what is your pace, and then attune yourself with the pace of the earth and allow yourself to integrate, be, feel. Empty your cup, replenish. It sounds so simple. The power behind it is tremendous. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about because I have a really huge, immense mission, and I know I'm here to help to uplift an entire planet. And after time, I feel like, well, there's not much reprieve. And there will be a time for me to take vacations, but just not now. But take the time to understand what is it that you're really asking, from what capacity, and are you ready to take it, to receive the answer and honor your space, right? Everything is in perfect synchronization, perfect, like a musical piece, that each note comes in the perfection in the piece to create the masterpiece itself. So that will be the message for today.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And lastly, where, for those that are resonating with your message, with your energy, and would like to potentially work with you or find you and learn more about what you're doing, where can they do that?
Absolutely. It will be very simple. One place, my website, which is called Infinite Healing from the stars.com. And we have an ascension library with many meditations free. You can watch anytime. Every month we have 2 new meditation series that we bring. We also have an online community membership that's very affordable. You can learn with us, grow with us, exchange with the members. And we also have our monthly group event, which is a 2-hour, very powerful holographic healing with the Arcturians. And we invite other masters of light and amazing ways of approaching healing as an evolving system. It's healing, it's an evolving process that we are shifting and learning into more and more. So there's many ways to be of service. We also have a unique Arcturian Healing Arts program, which is 3 months. It's a group setting, but it is, each level has very specific sessions, and we go dive into it, and it's a very transformational and experiential way of rediscovering who you are. And it's a beautiful journey. So there's so many ways, and we invite you to go to Infinite Healing from the stars.com.
Beautiful. And I will put that link on the show notes so that everyone can access it easily. Thank you so much, Vivian, for taking the time for this conversation and for bringing the energy that you're bringing into this earth, and for the work that you're supporting all of us and doing. So from my part, thank you, as I've been resonating so much with your message.
You are so very welcome, Brian. I love your energy. Thank you for being of the heart. I can feel that. It has been a privilege to be here as always.
Thank you. And for everyone listening, the same. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us, to share in this conversation. And as always, we don't want this to be one-sided. We want this to be a conversation with everyone. So leave us your comments or your messages, anything that you feel like you want to share, anywhere that you're finding this episode. So Thank you, everyone, and up until next time. Bye.
What did you like the most about this episode? Take a moment to think about what change you can make in your life today.
Share your conscious action on social media using #ConsciousAction and tagging @ConsciousActionNZ so we can celebrate your impact on the world and create a ripple effect.
One easy action we would love for you to take right now is to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. This will help us get these messages out into the world and inspire more people to take conscious action in their own lives, contributing to the better world we hope for.